Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I am Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I have a rock star on the show coming to us from Florida. His name is Dr. Mike Van Thielen. And I'm going to bring Dr. Mike on here in just a second. But do me a favor. Would you go ahead and share this out? Go ahead and share this out. Let's get as many people on here as we possibly can to hear Dr. Mike's story. Stay with us. We will be right back. And we are back. Let me bring Dr. Mike on. Dr. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Ken. Will be fun.
I'm very grateful to have you here. Well, you're a doctor. I met you through Dr. Fab Mancini at his event out in San Diego.
That's right.
By the way, San Diego is beautiful. It's just beautiful.
I just didn't have enough time to spend a little bit more time there. But yes, it was beautiful.
It's beautiful. So Mike, I started this show about 5 years ago. And it's been a blast. I love hearing other people's stories about how they've overcome obstacles in life and succeeded anyway. And so I can't wait to hear your story. Why don't you start with telling everybody where you were born and raised?
Well, yeah, everybody probably can pick up an accent. I'm originally from Belgium in Europe. I was raised there with my brother, single home family. Mom worked very hard to provide for us. As a little boy, I became a competitive swimmer, did very well in my country of origin. And so really got interested in sports a lot. After I finished high school over there, went to the University of Brussels for physical education, which was a lot of fun, Ken, but what are you really going to do with a degree in physical education? So I decided to do physical therapy after that because I had a lot of credits for that from the physical education. And, while I finished up my last year as physical therapy, I started traveling with the Belgian Olympic swim team in preparation for the Olympic Games in Atlanta in 1996. And
Wow.
That's where I really got more and more interested in optimizing performance, the mental and the physical aspects of it. And then after all that, basically, I got a call from a recruiter that wondered if I was interested in coming to do physical therapy in the United States. And I was only in my 20s. So I said, yes, sure. He says, where do you want to work? And my answer was Fort Lauderdale, because that's where we did all the swimming camps at the Swimming Hall of Fame. And 2 weeks later, he basically called back and he said, I have nothing in Fort Lauderdale right now, but I have something in Ormond Beach. So I go, excuse me? He says, Ormond Beach. I say, I don't know where that is, but the beach sounds fine. And that's how I ended up in Ormond Beach, Florida in 1997.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we went really fast through your childhood, and I'm always very curious about what it might be from someone's childhood that kind of pushes them in the direction that we end up going as adults. I mean, was there any a person or event or anything that I mean, because I can do the doggy paddle, but I'm not on your level, right? So how do you get what happens in life to make you go, I'm going to be one of the best swimmers in the world?
Well, actually, there's a few interesting moments. Obviously, the first one, while I was we call it elementary school here, when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. I was the fastest runner of the class. I was on the basketball team, the soccer team, you name it. But
Wow.
when it came to swimming, I got beaten by one of my best friends because he was part of the local swim team. And so apparently I was a sore loser because my solution was to also join the swim team. And that's where I found my passion for swimming. So today I still joke around, Ken, that swimming is actually my worst sport. But that's how I find my passion for swimming. Did pretty well over there in my age group, had a few records. And then later on in my early 20s, with my teammates, we swam some Belgian relay records, etc. But then I basically took a 20-some-year-old, no, 20. I stopped when I was 26, started again when I was 46. So I took a 22-year break and then started swimming again in the master swimming. And in 2019, actually swam a world record. So that's a little bit of my swimming career. But I think swimming brought a lot of character. Because if you want to be the best swimmer, there's many days you really don't want to go work out. And swimmers do work out a lot, 2 hours up to 4 hours a day, and then they're at the gym to it. So there's a lot of time invested in swimming. And so many times when you don't want to go, you still end up going because you're committed and you want to be the best. And I think that really shapes character in the sense that, you learn to do many things you don't want to do. I mean, who wants to go to work? Who wants to go to school every time, right? And so you just really get disciplined that way, I think. And I think that really helped me through life, doing things not necessarily you don't want to do, but you have that bigger goal at the end, right? You have a goal, you have a dream, you have the end in mind. So you're just going to tackle and take those obstacles where most people just give up or stop.
Did you I don't know a lot about competitive swimming. So did you did it through high school, right? Was there like I assume is it called high school? I don't even know if it's called high
Yeah,
school.
it's called high school, but in Belgium, sports is not big, so there's really not much sports going on. So once you graduate high school and you're 18 years old, you basically have to choose: do I go to university and study, or do I keep doing the sport that I'm doing? And obviously, in swimming, there's no money, especially in Belgium. Belgium, you can make some money with bicycling, and soccer. And if you're a great tennis player, maybe a little bit, but that's about it. So,
and waffles. I love your waffles.
you like the waffles? You like the sugary waffles?
That's why I'm not a great swimmer. I eat too many Belgian waffles. So, but like, okay, so did you continue? Did you go to university or did you
I
continue?
did go to university. I did physical education at University of Brussels, and then I followed through with physical therapy. I did swim there.
Okay.
But I stopped swimming when I was 24.
Okay.
And but meanwhile, I was the physical therapist for Belgian Olympic swimmers in preparation for the Atlanta Games, and I traveled around with them as a technical advisor, assistant coach also.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible. So you ended up in how old were you when you got to Ormond Beach?
Yes. So what happened is again, the recruiter called. I was interested, but I had to save $400, put my jeans on, pack my backpack, and I came here with $400 in 1997, March of 1997. I came here to live the American dream. Yeah. Many people were skeptical, but I always said, they said, what are you going to do if it doesn't work? Well, first of all, it's going to work out. But worst case scenario, I'm back in 10 hours. What's the big deal, right? I mean, I take a plane and I'm back in 10 hours. So it's all relative. It's all how you look at things, right?
Yeah. Was this a paid gig though in Ormond Beach? I mean,
it was a job, right?
Yeah.
It was a physical therapy job. But of course, you come here. I don't have anything. Credit score is non-existent, so you can't buy anything either. It's something you got to slowly build up with paying your water and your FPL bill. And I didn't have a guide or a coach either. So in the beginning, there was obviously some struggles and lots of ups and downs. But my motto quickly became, I never lose, I win or learn. And so that's what I've always gone by.
That's a great motto to live by right there. So you, and I see, I really, really, really admire people who come to America from another country pursuing the American dream with nothing. $400 is nothing,
Yeah,
right? So it's a lot if you have nothing, but
that's
you
right.
know, coming to a whole new country with $400 to your name, to me sounds absolutely insane. So you come over here and you hit the ground running as a physical therapist, and where whoops, I think we had an internet hiccup. um where did things go from there? I mean, was it difficult to pay your bills? Did you have an apartment? How did it go?
The recruiter put me in an apartment, and obviously helped out a little bit in the beginning. But then I got a paycheck, and of course, a little apartment, a paycheck as a physical therapist, even starting, is not that bad.
Yeah.
So yes, I certainly could pay my bills. But they put me in a hospital, and in hospitals, I find out pretty quickly that's not the place I want to be, because we're really not helping people in the hospital.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bureaucracy. It's a lot of buying products that we have to buy from certain catalogs, even if it's not in the best interest of the patients. So I didn't last very long there, and ended up in private practice. And at one point, I was exposed to a practice where they also did acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine. And I really witnessed that combining conventional medicine with those modalities really gave patients better results. And that's when I ended up going back to school to the Florida College of Integrative Medicine in Orlando, a 3-year program. I got my license in acupuncture, board certified in Chinese herbs, homeopathy, etc. And so I
Wow.
started more doing of that stuff. But even after another 1,000 patient scan, I got a little bit frustrated, because even though those modalities are less invasive and less harmful than conventional medicine, meaning drugs and surgeries, I really didn't feel my patients were getting the long-lasting results either. So that's when I really had to look a little bit further, and I had to look back at basics. And so at that moment, I decided to get my PhD in holistic nutrition. And I also started really looking at Mother Nature, especially animals in the wild, because Mother Nature doesn't lie. And by combining those, I got really confident that I could help anybody with any health condition, any disease. And that's really when I started to doing writing books. I got 8 books now. I also started doing a lot of keynote speaking. And I got very confident in helping people regain control of their health. Fast forward, I did a lot of the conventions at A4M, the anti-aging conferences in Orlando and Las Vegas. We started doing a lot of bioidentical hormones and more wellness protocols. And then from anti-aging, it came into the regenerative medicine. 2015, I became the CEO of a regenerative medicine or stem cell company, if you will. We treated a lot of top athletes, alumni, heavyweight champion boxers, NFL players. And then COVID hit, right? 2019. So we had a good run, but then, when we became non-essential. And so then I kind of had to really figure out what I really wanted to do again. And I had some time. We were during COVID. There wasn't much going on. It was a good time for me to reflect back, really to figure out what my passions were and what my purpose in life really needed to be. And I really figured that the motivation or the keynote speaking, the education part, the coaching, the mentoring is really what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So then during COVID, I slowly started building up that business again. And that's how I got in contact with Dr. Fab. He saw me speak in Orlando, and he approached me, and he was very complimentary about my speech. And that's how I became with him. And obviously, as you know, he has a great network of like-minded people.
Yeah.
And we all help each other out. And here I am on your interview and podcast, Ken, because that's our link there, Dr. Fab. So right now, I'm really building that business. I got a great website. I got mentorship programs. I got a VIP retreat in Costa Rica coming up, and I'm really trying to help people, not just with their health, but also with their business, because during all those years, because we were just talking about 1997, it's 2023, I really feel that people should have a mentor. It took me way too long to get where I am by myself.
Yep.
There's a few lessons that I learned. You need to surround yourself with the right people. You also need to surround yourself with people that have been there before you, so they can show you the pitfalls. I also believe you never have to work on your weaknesses. You need to continue to work on your strengths and surround yourself with people that are strong where you are weak. And so, once you get all these ingredients and you have the right mentor, there's nothing that can stop you to reach your goals and dreams.
I love that. I love everything you just said. I really think that getting around the right people, Fab is a perfect example. I mean,
Yeah.
he is so connected to so many people. And I mean, he sent an email to you and I saying, "Hey, you guys need to connect." And
And here we are a week later.
right. I love that. And I do the same thing that he does, connecting people. So let me ask you this. I'm sure that on a day, I would imagine on a daily basis, you get emails and or phone calls from people saying, I have cancer, or I have this other health issue, whatever it is. What's the number one thing that people reach out to you about?
Well, yeah, it's usually a health issue, and they wondered if there's any other thing that they can do, because obviously they try the conventional way first and it's not working, or they're getting frustrated, or whatever it may be. And unfortunately, most people still go that route first, and things only get worse with drugs, injections, surgeries, right?
Yeah.
And then they finally give up, or they finally start listening or reading up, and then they get interested, but now they need guidance into that direction. And then yes, often they end up with functional medicine doctors, or doctors like myself or Dr. Fab. And so many times, we still need to educate them, because there's always, especially when you're mentioning cancer, there's always this fear getting away from the conventional medicine, right? Because the doctor still has this status symbol. And
Yep.
don't get me wrong, there's many good doctors out there, but there's also many doctors out there that have no clue about health, no clue about wellness, no clue about nutrition, and they just have limited tools in their tool bag, and usually it's only drugs, injections, and surgeries. And so when a regular doctor says there's nothing I can do or we can do, most people take that for granted, and they just start to live with a disease. But there's another 1,000 tools out there, not just 3. But just that doctor doesn't have those tools or doesn't recommend them, because then it becomes a liability issue, right?
Yep.
And so that's when people need to reach out to people like myself, because there's so many other things out there. And I tell people all the time, as long as you are breathing and you're alive, the body will strive for perfect health. We just need to put it in the right conditions, the correct conditions, and give it the right tools so that it can heal itself. Because drugs don't cure, injections don't cure, surgeries don't cure, acupuncture doesn't cure, chiropractic doesn't cure, healthy food doesn't cure. Only the body can heal itself, but we just need to put it in the right directions. And sometimes you need some guidance to do that. And when it comes to health, I usually have 3 stages. And unfortunately, most of my clients fall in stage number 1, because that's where we need to regain control of our health. So
Yeah.
those are people that are in pain or are diagnosed with a medical condition. And so we need to resolve those conditions and start to balance the body again, so we regain control of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So we need to get back to quote unquote normal. Unfortunately, a lot of people fall in that category. But once we're back to normal, we need to now optimize health, right? We need to go ahead.
Let me ask. I need to interrupt because I want to
Sure.
ask you. First off, Becky Farias says she knows you. She's a friend of mine as well. So hey, Becky, it's great to see you. She says, "What would you suggest?" And we'll answer that here in a second.
Yes.
But what is the gauge for normal? Like you say, we need to get back to normal. I've had some health challenges. I had one when I spoke at the same event
Yes,
you
you
spoke
did.
at, right? in San Diego.
I saw you struggle a little bit, Tim. Yeah.
What is normal? What's the gauge? How do you say, well, you need to get to normal?
Yes. Well, normal to me doesn't mean anything, right? Because when we look at conventional standards of laboratory tests, and you fall in the normal range, most of those ranges were developed for World War II for our soldiers to make sure we ration them enough food to barely stay alive. So when you fall within those normal ranges when it comes to your nutrients, it basically means you're barely alive. All right. But unfortunately, a lot of people are below normal. They have chronic pain, they have stenosis, they are suffering, they have inflammation in their body, they are overweight, and they have medical diagnosis. They have type 2 diabetes, they have high blood pressure, maybe they have some type of a cancer or anything in between. And so when I say back to normal, it's meaning eradicate those medical conditions and get back to within that normal range, which yes means barely alive, but let's get there first, so then we can optimize, which is step number 2. Because in optimizing, we need to get in great health, meaning we need to be strong, we need to be vital, we need to get in a good body composition, we need to be out of that brain fog, we need to function optimally. We need to come back from work and don't sit in a couch and feeling tired and unable to play with the kids or the grandkids. That's optimal health. So that would be the second step. But to answer your question, yeah, that's normal, is get out of the hole, back to I don't have any pain, I'm not diagnosed with a medical condition, I feel okay without having to take medication. That's the definition of normal in this context.
Okay, so I am a huge fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
And quantum,
Ditto.
What's that?
Ditto, the same here.
Yeah. So I have somewhat of a rhetorical question for you. What, if you could put a percentage on it, what percentage would you say mindset plays in eradicating disease in someone's body, as well as optimal health? What percentage is the mindset?
Well, in sports, the mindset is 100%, not even 100% difference between winning and losing. So when it comes to life, when it comes to our life goals, our purpose, our destiny, and our health, it's 90 to 100%. It's the first thing that needs to be in place. Our mind is the blueprint, right? So if I put people on a program to regain control of their health or try to eradicate a medical diagnosis, it's immediately a priority to work on their mind, on their belief system, and on their blueprint, because we all know that if we doubt our goals, for example, eradicating a disease or cancer, then the universe has two options: success and failure. But if we work on the mind, we set our goals, we have a plan, we have a strategy, we have a deadline, whatever it may be, and we work on that belief system, and there's no doubt in our mind that we're going to eradicate that medical condition, then the universe only has one option: a big win. And so to answer your question, Kenny, without that proper mindset, we're going to be not necessarily failing, but we have two options. We have failure and success. So in order to really eradicate a disease and be successful 100%, that mindset need to be tuned in, and we need to be really working on that mindset to be successful. And that's why, it's crucial. It's crucial.
So, and somebody said they can't share it. You might be in one of the private Facebook groups. If you go out to my page or the Breakthrough Walls page, you'll be able to share it. Because I truly believe mindset is everything, right? What about the person, and I know that you've met these people who reach out to you because they may have a little tiny shimmer of hope, but they've also primarily given up in their mind. Like, I'm meant to be fat my entire life, or I know this cancer is going to kill me, but I'm going to talk to you anyway. What about them? How do you help people have that? And I know, but how do you get them to have that mindset shift?
Yeah, well, if they reach out, obviously they still have some hope, like you said, or they wouldn't be reaching out, right?
Right,
So
right.
obviously we got to give them more hope. We got to educate them a little bit more on how important that mind is, because probably nobody ever talked about them in the first place. So
Yep.
we're gonna have to educate them on how important that blueprint is. And we today we actually have many technologies and strategies available to facilitate regular people to take control over their emotions, their feelings, and their mind. Because if somebody, and this happened to me like 10, 15 years ago, oh, Mike, you need to meditate. And I always understood the strength and the importance of the mind, but it wasn't my my field. I always was focused on the athletic and on the body. So then I really need to get into, okay, how do I personally get more control over my emotions, my mind, tap into the different brain waves, exercise visualization, manifesting, all that type of stuff. And 1 to 2 decades ago, it was difficult because you need to start meditating. And obviously, when you meditate, it's very difficult if you don't have any help, because your mind goes into so many different directions. And when you spend hours and hours but you don't really see a benefit, most people would give up. But today there's so many strategies and technologies available that facilitate people getting into an altered state of mind, sometimes within one session or in a few sessions. And then once they experience that, they obviously are excited and want to go deeper and further, because they know it works and it's true. So today we have, technologies, meditation, like you just mentioned, Jordi Spenza. He has great guided meditations out there. He has great online courses out there. So obviously we have mentors out there that could help you doing it the right way and getting to the different levels. But we also have other things like breath work. I did breath work not too long ago in San Diego, Sunday morning, with Travis Steffens. And it was amazing, because it's the first time that with breathwork I get to a higher state mentally, because I was focusing just on my breath. And by doing that, I was able to clear everything else out of my mind, which usually is very hard to do. So breathwork is another tool that can be used to really get into a meditative state. And then we have technologies such as brain tap, binaural beats, and all kinds of things that will facilitate my clients and everybody's clients to have a quicker result when it comes to controlling emotions, controlling the mind, resetting your belief system, eliminating false core beliefs, and getting confident in controlling that part of our mind to help us reaching our goals and dreams faster, but also controlling the disease that is within our body.
One of my mentors, probably the greatest spiritual teacher for me, is Dr. Wayne Dyer. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember I started reading his stuff 20 years ago. And 19 years ago, somebody said, Ken, you need to meditate. And I was like, meditate? That's not being a good Christian. I had all these preconceived notions. Yet Jesus meditated. And so I started meditating 19 years ago, and it's a now today, and since then, it's a non-negotiable. It's the first thing I do
Yeah.
every single morning of my life. And I recommend it to people, like, you need to meditate. For me now, I've always said, if you can just learn to um focus on the breath coming in and out of your nostrils with your eyes closed, um that's a good start. Like,
Yes, of
to
course. Yeah.
spend 5 or 10 minutes doing that. And because Wayne Dyer talked about, he said that, God exists in between our thoughts. And he said, the magic in music is the space between the notes. So
Yes.
I love what you're talking about. It's it's part of my daily routine. It's part of my life.
Should be part of everybody's routine for sure.
Why? Okay, so I was just getting ready to. So why do you think that? Tell the audience why they should be meditating. What are the, in your opinion, what are the overall benefits health wise?
Well, again, the mind not only controls the body, but it also controls your destiny. And what I've experienced during COVID, but also post-COVID, because I was asked by some colleague doctors to help them with screening patients for medical marijuana. And so I did. And to my surprise, there's so many of us with anxiety, depression, PTSD, a lack of focus, no productivity, procrastination, fidgeting, you name it, ADHD. And so, yes, there are drugs out there. Yes, there's therapies out there. There's even supplements out there. But what I really realized is that there's something much bigger at the that's causing these mental conditions or symptoms. And that is people are lacking purpose in their life, right? So now today, people are just going day by day. They're going to the job. The boss throws them all kinds of stuff. Then they got to rush home, try to bring the kids to the soccer fields, whatever it may be. And so it's always putting out fires. In addition, now we have social media, which bombards us with over 14,000 digital messages per day. And our brain cannot organize that chaos. And so we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know what next week brings. And if I don't know what tomorrow brings, of course, I'm going to be worried. Of course, I'm going to be fearful and all that stuff and uncertain. And that eventually translates in anxiety, depression, and stress, and you name it. And so that's normal. So what I did is I wrote my last book. It's available on Amazon. It's called The IZOD Method, IZOD. IZOD stands for in the zone, on demand. In other words, we need to learn to be productive again. We need to be able to focus, get things done. We need a purpose, and we need to control our life, right? And so the IZOD method has 3 steps, very simple. And the first one is finding or confirming your purpose in life. Because so if we don't have our purpose in life, we're never going to be excited. We're never going to be passionate. We're going to throw up our arms when there's an obstacle, and we're not going to live our purpose. What's the point living if we don't live our purpose? So the first thing, yes? The first
No,
thing
I said, right.
Yes, the first thing I do with people is make sure that they have the right purpose, because otherwise everything else that comes afterwards is kind of, going in the wrong direction. So let's make sure we're going in the right direction. And that's where I usually get my first resistance when I work with new clients, because once we identify that, and we can easily do that with communicating half an hour and doing some exercises, but once we identify that and we find that fire and passion, often it does not align with what they're doing right now. It does not align with their job. And so, yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting. I just want to get clarity for me. I don't care if the audience gets clarity. I'm kidding. I do care. Okay. Because I believe 99% of the world is not living in their purpose. That's my true belief. How does I think about the Simon Sinek famous TED talk he did on what start with why, right? Like, which is your purpose. Like, how do you help somebody find their purpose if they're not living it right now? How do you help them identify that?
Yes, with a few exercises and a few questions and a communication, and you see their body language change when we're talking about their passion, and they may not even realize it. So the first thing I do, and this is not always true, but it makes them start thinking. The first thing I say is like, do you remember the superpower you wanted when you were a kid? The dreams about who you wanted to be? Because when you were a kid, you had no doubt in your mind that you could be that person, until somebody, most likely your parents, told you it was impossible. And so then most of us settle for ordinary. So many times I go back to when they were a kid and maybe they wanted to be a pilot. And maybe today it's not their passion anymore, but sometimes it actually still is, because when we start talking about flying and pilots, they all light up again. And maybe they got away from that, and maybe we got to go back to that. So that's one thing. The other thing is I do a simple exercise, and it's funny that you just mentioned TED Talks, because it's a 3-part exercise. And the first part, I just tell people, write down 3 or 5 topics that you would talk about during a TEDx talk, knowing that 1 million people will watch your video. And so then people take some time and write those topics down. Then the second part of the exercise is I tell them, close your eyes. You're standing on top of a mountain, and it's beautiful. You're looking around, it's quiet, and suddenly you see a few people approaching the mountain, and they're sitting at the base, and they're looking at you, and they're quiet. And a few minutes later, 8 billion people are sitting at the base of the mountain, and they're looking up at you. And now you have only 10 minutes to give one message to those 8 billion people, which is everybody in the world, right? What would that message be? And so then they write that down. And then I ask them in the last part of the exercise, does that message on top of the mountain fit any of your topics for the TEDx talk? And usually it doesn't, because the TEDx talk topics are more coming from the brain. They're more based on what are my credentials? What am I good at right now? And what are some monetary benefits if I talk about those topics? While the topic on top of the mountain, you may have no credentials for, but that topic comes from the heart and reaches everybody, right? And so many times we got to see what that topic is, even if you're not credentialed or don't know much on how you would do that. That's actually what we need to explore, because that's coming from the heart, that giving you passion and fire. And there's many other things that we can talk about, but that's how I help people with some exercises, with some thinking, is redirect them and see what causes fire and passion in their stomach.
My first thought was, I'm scared to death of heights, and everybody else is down there. I'm way up here on the mountain. I'm kidding. But okay. So this is the IZOD method. The I stands for?
IZOD is in the zone on demand. And it's not just for
on demand. Okay.
Because we all know he's or she's in the zone. It's usually coming from musicians or top athletes, right? But most people have experience being in the zone, but usually it was by chance or accident. So the in the zone on demand method, if you master this method, you can bring your A game anytime you want. And you don't have to be a top athlete or a Silicon Valley CEO. You can be John Doe. You can just want to perform at your highest potential. You can be a performer. You can be an entrepreneur. It does not matter. But if you want to produce, if you want to focus, if you want to eliminate distractions, if you want to free up valuable time, if you want to live stress-free, if you want to live your goals and dreams, I believe if you master the IZOD method, you're going to be in total control of your life, of your script, of your goals and your dreams, and you're going to be successful. And so the first part, yes, is identifying that purpose. That sets the stage for everything else.
Wow. So, and this is all in the book.
Yes, this is in the book. You can also go to the website and read a little bit more about it. But yeah, there's 2 more steps. I don't know if you want to hear about what the other steps are, but there's 2 more steps to the IZOD method. Yeah.
I definitely want to hear about them. Yeah. Does anybody else want to hear the other steps? I think everybody wants to hear the steps. So yeah, what are the other steps?
So yeah, the first part, again, purpose of life. And then in the second part, we need to set a plan and strategy, just like in business. We need to know the what's. What are your goals? What are your dreams? We don't need to know the details or the how-tos, because they will fall in place as we move along. But what we're doing there is we also starting to take control of our life again, because most people have zero control of their life. So I help them take control of their calendar, their agenda, their life, freeing up valuable time, making sure they're focused. They have all the tips and strategies in place to be productive during the day. And that's a little bit custom, because a lot of people, are unable to focus or get things done on time, being as productive as they need to be. So the book is also full of tips and strategies to optimize focus, to optimize productivity, to find out time savers, because time is so essential. We can't buy time, we can't borrow time, but we can free up a lot of valuable time. And you would be surprised on how much time we waste during the day, time that does not contribute to our goals and dreams. So many times we free up some valuable time first so we can start working out our goals and dreams, because most people do have a job. It may not be their purpose, but they can't just give it up tomorrow because they have bills to pay, they have family to take care of. So the first step we need to do is we need to free up valuable time so we can start working on our true goals and dreams, and then slowly transition into that. So that's step number 2, a plan, a strategy, and starting to take control of our lives. Because, Ken, when we get more control, we create clarity, right? We know what our agenda is tomorrow, next week, what we're going to be working on, what our goals are, what our plan is. And so the more clarity that we create, the less stress that we will have. Because now suddenly that anxiety and depression and fear and worry about tomorrow and uncertainties, they just go away without drugs, without therapy, because we have a purpose and we're getting organized and we're getting control and clarity. So that's step number 2. The other small part, which is very important of step number 2, is the team of experts that we talked about. We need to start identifying the people that we need in our life to reach our highest potential, because by ourselves, we are not going to succeed. And so I help people identifying the people that they need in order to be successful. And then step number 3 is biohacking, right? So that's actually upgrading our body, our mind, and our life. And we talked about, we know how to biohack or objectively reverse our biological age. And that's all to do with our health, being in optimal health. And we can do that. But I set the mind, and we already talked extensively about on how important it is to upgrade our minds and getting control of our emotions and feelings, tapping into the brainwaves, visualizing belief system, etc. And that's a major part there again. But without that purpose, without taking control of our life and having a plan, that biohacking or upgrading our body, our minds becomes ineffective. And so that's why it's step number 3. And that's what we do over there. We decide to become superhuman right there, body and mind, and objectively reverse our biological age. Because if we can do that, obviously, we're going to perform much better. And that's how we get into the zone on demand. With the control, the clarity, and the upgrading, that's when we are in control of our life, and we decide when we want to be in the zone, and we decide when we want to bring in our A game, crush our sale goals, crush their presentation, crush our competition, whatever it may be. And I believe if people can master that ISOT method, they can do anything in life they want to do.
Is there one more step?
3 steps.
Oh, I thought you said 4.
No, 3 steps. Step number 4 is perseverance. If there is a step number 4, I'm making it up right now, is you need a mentor or coach that keeps you accountable on a weekly basis. So you make those small incremental steps towards that goal, and the coach or a mentor sticks with you until you reach your goals and you are successful. And so you need somebody that makes you accountable for doing the things that you need to do to get there. So that would be your step number 4, is having that mentor or coach.
What's the biggest thing that people are turning to you for? Is it health? Like, hey, I'm 20, 30 pounds overweight and I need help getting this weight off. I mean, what is the...
Yes, it's still the majority of people, because that's my background and that's how they know me as Dr. Mike. And then many times I put them in one of those 3 categories. Most people most people now come to me, you're a biohacking expert. How can I do this? Unfortunately, we can't start with phase number 3, biohacking. If you are overweight, if you're in pain, we need to resolve those issues first, right? Then get you to optimal of that biohacking. So no matter where they are, I got them all the way through those 3 stages. But more and more, I do get people that are interested in upgrading their mind or helping with their business, whether it's a small business or it's a big company. I just talked to the CEO of a big hospital that wants me to help out, because if we focus on their employees or their team members, then they're going to automatically produce more. If we upgrade their body, if we upgrade their mind and help their mindset, or help with their focus and their productivity and not wasting time, that they can apply in personal life, they're obviously also going to produce better when they're at work and feel that they are, part of that team. So, I can help any business, small or big, also improve their focus, their productivity, and upgrade people's body, mind, and life for sure. And then personal life, people struggle in personal life. So we can apply all those techniques on all those three levels: health, business, and personal life.
Wow. That is so, so powerful. I think about, and I always ask these questions, a couple of questions towards the end, and I can't believe we're already 45 minutes into this. Um, you know, how do I say this? Okay. In your opinion, and this is a two-part question, the first one, what do you think holds people back in life from two things? Number one, real financial success. And number two, real joy and happiness. And I truly believe that those are tied together, because I've been broke and homeless, and I've been wealthy, and wealthy is much better. So
Yeah.
what do you think is holding people back, stopping them from achieving everything they want in life?
Yeah. Well, number one, you're right. Money doesn't necessarily make happy, but makes life much easier. And if you are wealthy, you can help others. And that's what
Yes.
we as human beings, that's what makes us happy. Actually, it could be very simple. If you help people, you're doing yourself a much bigger service than those people, because you are helping and healing yourself, right? But you really can't do that if you're working two jobs and you're not making any money. You have no time to help other people, and you certainly don't have the money to assist with small things that they may need help with. So, in order to be happy, I agree. Money certainly would be helpful. But what does hold people back? Number one, again, it's their purpose in life. If they're in the wrong direction, if they're just doing a job because somebody pushed them in that direction, their parents, or this, or our system, right? Our system tells us we need to go to school, then we need to go to college, then we need to work for somebody else till we're 65, and then there's the golden years which never come, right? But we
Right.
push certain ways. And so right now we're into this vicious cycle of just paying the bills and living life, not really living, but going through the motions. And so when you don't have a passion and you don't have a fire in your stomach when you get up in the morning, that's another one of those exercises. If you wake up in the morning and you say, I got to get up, I got to go to work, I got to do this, I got to do that, you're not living your passion, you're not living your purpose.
Right.
Because if you live your passion and your purpose, you would get up, I get to get up, I get to go to work. I'm going to get these things done today because I want them done, because it brings me closer to my passion. So first of all, I think, again, same thing. People don't have their purpose, so they're never going to be successful. The second thing is a lot of people do know their purpose and they tapped into it a little bit, but they're not unleashing their superpower because they're comfortable where they are. They're into their comfort zone. And the people around them hold them back, because every time they mention their dream and their purpose and wanting to do something extraordinary, the people around them say, oh, you're silly, or don't do that. They don't do that necessarily on purpose to sabotage you, but they are in their comfort zone and you're part of their comfort zone. So they don't want you to leave and go somewhere else. So people need to start knowing what the comfort zone is, and also knowing on how to get out of there. Because once you step out of the comfort zone, yes, you come into what's called the fear zone. And once you enter the fear zone, you then go to the learning zone when you learn new skills. And once you do that, you get into a new growth zone. And so once you understand more about the comfort zone and how to get into a growth zone, surrounding yourself with new people, and knowing that other people are going to try to pull you back and discourage you from doing that, and you start to understand that, then it's easier to get out of that comfort zone, especially if you surround yourself with people that already are in that next growth zone where you want to go, because they will pull you into that growth zone. And that's why, again, it's important to surround yourself with the right people. So I would think purpose and comfort zone are the two things that hold people back.
I 1000% agree with you. or maybe even more.
Yeah.
Like yes, I agree with you. Everything you just said. There was a time for me, it's a long story I won't go into, but there was a time when I watched my car get repossessed in front of my employees. They were all getting paid and I wasn't, and
Yeah.
neither was the bank.
Haven't we
And
all been there?
yeah, right. So, I can remember feeling in that moment like, what's the purpose of going on in this life? Like, I was so humiliated, disgusted, depressed, whatever, all the stuff, right? And especially like in 2020 when the pandemic came about, and suicide rates skyrocketed globally. People just gave up on life and
Yeah.
committed suicide, which I can't believe, but I can relate to. Like, there have been those moments, right, where you're
Sure.
like, what's the point?
We
If
all
somebody
question life.
called you and said, Mike, I have done everything I know how to do. I'm completely at a loss. My electric's being shut off tomorrow. My car got repoed. I don't know what direction to go. I'm giving up on life. What would you say to them in that moment to bring them back to because and I know, I mean, most people realize that this too shall pass,
Yeah.
right? But like, how do you get somebody that's at the end of the rope to just hang on and keep pushing?
Well, of course, a lot of people don't listen to them, right? So it's one of those skills a good coach and mentor needs to have is listen first. Don't interrupt. Don't answer. Just they need somebody to just let it all out first, and maybe nobody really has sat down and truly listened with empathy, right? So that's the first thing, and then you got to give them hope again, because like you said, they're at the bottom. It can get worse, number one. Number two, there's so many people that are highly successful and they never would have been if they never would have been at the bottom, right? Because they didn't have a reason to. So they're at a stage in life where this is the starting point for them to be highly successful. And things don't happen at random. So when they're talking to me while they're at the bottom, that also means it's like, I don't know anything about, being, I've been there too. We've all been there too, but I'm a success coach. So why are you talking to me while you're at the bottom? Because this is the start of your success. And so we're going to take all this experience. We're going to surround yourself with the right people. We're going to make a plan, and we're going to take all the hurdles from now on. And the only reason you're here is because this is your starting point for success. So you got to give them hope. There has to be some motivation, and you're going to try to identify people that this person needs around them to get out of that zone, whether that's probably not a comfort zone, but get out of that environment into a new environment. And as long as there's the willingness, they will succeed, right? Because some people
Yep.
just don't have the willingness. We can give them the skills and we can give them the knowledge, but the willingness we can't give them. So, we do what we can to give them hope, give them motivation. And if they're willing, we can surround them with the right people and steer them in the right direction.
I find it interesting that a lot of people, I have a mastermind and I have an online course, and a lot of people pay for it and then they don't show up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you not showing? Like, you spent money on this. Like, have you
Yeah,
ever put any thought into that? Like, why do
yeah,
people do that?
it's amazing because I got similar stories. It's amazing. It's like still most people want this magic pill or silver bullet, and they don't want to put in the effort to be a better person or to learn or to better themselves and their family. They just are willing putting the effort. I actually, said the other day in in one of my video reels, it's like, and I heard it somewhere before, but it's like, if the price for success and winning is too high, wait until you get the bill for regret. Just
That's
wait.
so true.
And that's just the problem, you know. They want an instant result, and it's not there. And I had the same thing, because I've helped a lot of people just like you can. We don't charge people that don't have money, and if they come for help, of course we're gonna help them. As a human being, there's not enough. I mean, you can't say no, so you help them. But many
Right.
times, and this is a while ago, I got a lot of people coming to my office for help, and I spent an hour with them to never hear from them again. And so I'm wasting time on people that come for help, but then don't implement what I tell them. So then I had my first book, I remember 2014, Health for Life. It was a big book. And so I said to them, because I didn't want to waste my time, here's this book. It's for free. Read the book so we're on the same page. Write down your questions. And when you're done, contact me and I'll help you every step of the way. That way I didn't waste any time. Just gave them 2 minutes of my time, and I gave them a free book.
Yep.
And so 90% of the people I never saw again. But that's how I saved my time. And the one person, of course, it was worth it. The one person read the book, wrote the questions down. We were on the same page, and we helped them through whatever they needed to have help with. But yes, it's amazing. 9 out of 10, even if you give it for free, even if they pay, you know. But I think it's the chaos. There's so many things thrown at them. And it's not they don't have the intention to be better, but meanwhile, they got distracted, like the squirrel thing, yeah, by 7 other things. And so their whole life is a chaos. That's why it's very important in my step number 2 of the ISOT method to really take control of your life, almost script your life so you're in total control of it.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, I saw somebody somebody I know that used to work at Facebook's, they had an internal meeting and they track how people use the platform.
Yeah.
And they discovered that the average Facebook user scrolls, ready for this, 300 yards a day with their thumb. Yards, 300 yards. That's 3 football fields with their thumb.
It's more than they walk today, probably, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
So, yeah, distractions. And I agree with you, man. Having the purpose and then having the plan in place is
and the control. Yeah,
crucial.
that's the foundation, and then we can biohack and become superhuman. And that's where Joe Dispenza and all that stuff comes in. But it's premature to just throw it in somebody's life. It's just more chaos at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, you are phenomenal, man. Thank you, Dr. Fab, for connecting us. Is there anything else that I've got your website scrolling across the bottom, mvtonline.com. Is there anything else you would like to leave the audience with before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, no matter who you are, how old you are, no matter whether you have a penny or no penny, it's never too late. See, the past is the past. We cannot change it. But today is another day. And so the actions that we take today will shape your future. So don't be, held down by the past. Let the future pull you forward. So just stop today. Stop 5 minutes and start thinking about your person, the passions that you have. And even if they don't align with what you're doing right now, it doesn't matter. You can't reach those goals and dreams. We need to free up some time and slowly start implementing very small steps towards those goals and dreams, because it's never too late. Even you're 50, 60, 70 years old. If you're 70 years old, you still got 30 to go if you take care of yourself. And so it's never too late to fulfill those dreams. Maybe you worked your whole life, you took care of your kids, you took care of your wife, everybody's out of the house, you just retired, and you did a great job. But what is your purpose? It's not too late to unleash your superpower, because guess what? The world needs everybody's superpower right now.
Amen, and amen. Where's the best place for people to follow you on social media?
Well, yes, go to my website, mvtonline.com or biohackingunlimited.com. It's the same website. Right now, I actually have a special on. If you subscribe to my email list, you get a free PDF of the book, The ISOT Method. You get a free PDF. But
Wow.
everything's on my website: mentorship programs, Costa Rica VIP trips, online training, the books, everything's on the website. So I suggest go there. And if you want a free copy of the book, just subscribe to my email list.
Wow. That's incredible. Everybody go to mvtonline.com and subscribe to his email list. Get the book. And you know what? Buy the book too. Go to Amazon and buy the book. Get the book.
Sure.
And then don't do what most people do. Buy the book and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of books on a shelf that you never read. Read the book and implement it and get involved with Mike. And Mike, you're incredible. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your unbelievable wealth of wisdom and knowledge. Thank you so much.
Well, Ken, I gotta thank you too, because all the good work you do, and all the guests that you have on, obviously have the message, and without people like you, that message doesn't come out. So again, this is teamwork. So I'd like to thank you for your time also.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Everybody, make sure you follow Mike. Go to mvtonline.com and subscribe to his newsletter. Follow him everywhere on social media. And this could be the day that your life changes for the better. So, Mike, thanks so much. I appreciate you. I'm going to end the live stream now. Thank you to everybody who's watched and commented. And if you shared, there are extra points in life for you if you shared this out. So thank you for that. And have an awesome day. Mike, thanks so much.